Cowboys Pepsi postgame show. Pepsi, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Now, here's Zach Wolchuk and Brian Broaddus.
At the 49, there's a double reverse flea flicker. Goff going to throw it deep to the right side. Caught by Laporta. Running away to the 15, to the 10, 5. Diving in for the touchdown.
We just witnessed the worst home loss of Jerry Jones' 35-year run as owner of the Dallas Cowboys. 47-9, was the final score. The Lions beating the Cowboys. Happy birthday to Jerry and a happy birthday to Will McClay. But really, the only person that you can blame for this entirely is indeed the birthday boy himself, Jerry Jones. Plenty of blame to go around, but he is the man at the top. He is the owner. He is the general manager. This is the third time the Cowboys have been absolutely demolished at home. And today, defensively, it was bad. I think we thought it would probably be tough against a really good Lions offense, but the Cowboys did nothing in return offensively to try and hold serve. Just an absolutely terrible performance. They were being just berated by boos by the home fans, and it was honestly very well deserved.
Yeah, it unfortunately, though, you didn't have enough players to play this one out, especially when you look at where, even healthy, defensively, this was going to be a big challenge. This will be one of the, in the week leading up to this game, we talked about the Lions offensive line, getting Frank Ragnow back at center really helped them in their ability to run the football. They've got two quality backs. They got a super aggressive play caller, and they got a quarterback that's willing to hang in there and make some throws. He got harassed a little bit today, had to move around. But, this, we talked about it, no team in the league runs more crossing routes than the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
None. I mean, they are a deep-in crossing route team, and defensively today you looked like you'd never seen a crossing route in your life, and I don't know how you watch the Lions film and not realize that that's what you're going to get a heavy dose of. So unfortunately for the defense that didn't have all its players, the primary, your rushers, your linebackers, but that's part of football. The thing that bothers me the most is going into this game, I kind of felt like, okay, Dallas is going to have to turn this into a shootout.
Right.
And they're going to have to get it from their play caller and their quarterback and their receiver and their offensive line. And really none of that was any good today. Your play caller wasn't very good with what he was asked to do. He didn't have any really good rhythm to the play call, and the quarterback was, we talked about that with Hutchinson was going to be everybody that the Lions had faced so far. Hutchinson was the primary rusher, and everybody else was kind of, down the line. It was one of the teams, statistically, that was didn't create a lot of pressure other than Aiden Hutchinson.
Right.
And so, but today, they found pressure.
They did.
They found McNeil.
Unfortunately, Aiden Hutchinson had a serious injury.
Sure.
Leaves in an air cast. But even without Aiden Hutchinson in the game, Aleem McNeil, I mean, you go down the list, it seemed like every player along that defensive line, and they're beating Zach Martin, right? They're beating Tyler Smith. It was a bad day for Terrence Steele.
Right.
T.J. Bass got worked. Cooper Beebe will probably go back, gave up some pressures.
Yeah.
It was across the board. And really, you had your starting five linemen that you wanted in this game.
Right.
With how they played against Pittsburgh, if you wanted to put Tyler Guyton back in, you could have done it. There's no excuse for the offensive performance today.
None today. And, they got beat up really on both sides of the ball. Defensively, I kind of expected it. Offensively, I didn't expect them to just keep kicking field goals, but this is what this team, 6 weeks in, Zach, they have issues in the red zone.
Yep.
They have issues. There's nothing that's very, there's no real rhythm to their offense. It's just, it's just kind of out there, and it's hope you make a play and hope you block it up, and hope that CD makes a play and hope that Ferguson makes a play and hope that you got no running game. But you get in these games where when it gets out of hand.
Okay, I knew that excuse would come up.
No.
Not from you, but they talk about the attempts, right?
Yeah.
So I went back and I looked. It's 10-3.
Oh, sure.
They had 3 drives.
No.
6 runs in 21 plays.
Absolutely.
So they didn't really try to run the football.
They get out of whack, and they weren't. I didn't feel like that they were going to run the ball well against Detroit.
Sure.
Not with these linebackers. I just felt like that it was going to be a little bit of a problem for them. And but you're not. I'm not. You're right. Don't wash your hands of the lack of attempts or whatever, but. They're just not very good at it.
And they're not.
Yeah.
And again, that might be personnel, right? I mean, Rico Dowdle's coming off his best game. And they gave Rico Dowdle, I think, 2 of those 6 carries.
There was a lot more of Ezekiel Elliott.
The rest went to Zeke. Yeah. So you have the report that comes out that Zeke's not happy about his role in the offense. Well,
right.
We'll poo-poo that. That's not a big deal. We're saving him. That's what Jerry said on the flagship 105.3 The Fan. We're saving him. Yeah. Well, I don't think it's coincidental that the first time since week 1, he's now coming into the game earlier than we've seen since that Browns game.
Right.
And it didn't go well.
No.
So it's weird, right? Rico's coming off his best performance against Pittsburgh. You give him 2 carries. Now you look up at 17-3, and yes, of course, now you're in catch-up mode.
Yeah.
Now you feel like you got to throw the football. But I don't want to hear the attempts excuse because it was a 10-3 game. You had 21 offensive plays. You ran it 6 times. So you didn't try to run the football.
That's fair.
877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text, 877-881-1053. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Brian Broaddus, 47-9. The Lions beat the Cowboys. It's already the second time this year that the Cowboys have given up 44 more points in a home game. Last time that's happened to the Cowboys was their expansion year in 1960, including the playoffs, which I know was last year, Brad Sham. The Cowboys have allowed 44 more points in 3 of their last 4 home games. 3 of their last 4. You're not a serious football team. You can't be doing that. You don't get your ass kicked 3 times at home in the same year, and I don't want to hear about the Baltimore Ravens. You rallied in the fourth quarter. You almost won. That's awesome. Your saving grace is you gave up 28 points to Baltimore. You can go on the road and beat the Giants and the Browns. They're bad. You can go on the road and beat the Steelers. Their defense respectable. Their offense is poo cheese. Okay?
Yeah.
They come home, they play against 3 pretty good teams. I think the Saints pretty good. I think we realize the Ravens and Lions, among the 2 best teams in the NFL, they get obliterated. And I don't know what quit looks like, but did we just see it? Was that quit out there? Was that somewhat reminiscent of that the Packers game on Sunday Night Football when they fired Wade Phillips? Or were we there yet? Or you're 3-3, you're headed in the bye, everything's okay? Because I don't know. To me, that didn't look like a team that was trying to save their head coach's ass.
No, the problem you run into, though, your talent level on the defense wasn't good. You watch guys like Wilson and things like that, still trying to tackle, Overshown, those guys. Yeah, I mean, it's young players. You were just really, really outmanned. The problem, defensively, I get it.
Sure.
I get what's going on. But, your offense wasn't good enough today. That's what you needed. You were going to lose this game if your offense wasn't good enough.
And that's why I'm looking.
I don't think it was quit. I just don't think defensively you had the horses to run this race.
But and defensively, I'm with you. You can make excuses for not having Bland and Micah and Tank. Mind you, you had Micah and Tank when you gave up those points to the Saints.
Sure did.
So you had.
But you played better against the Giants and the Steelers.
Right, but bad offenses.
Okay. I understand where you're going.
When you're going up against good teams,
yeah,
and the goal here is to win a championship.
You weren't going to stop this offense today with the players you had.
No, you weren't. But I don't know. Do you think they would have stopped it with Mike and Tank?
I think I would have taken a chance that way. I told you when we started this show that even with your full complement of defensive players, this was going to be a tough matchup.
Yeah.
This one is, I get it. You're playing with backup guys. You're playing with backup guys who are now thrown into this role of having to go out and stop one of the best offenses in the league.
It's
one
tough
of the most
ask.
Diverse. It's a tough ask. How about your offense, though?
No, it's all about the offense. And your head coach
offensive
is running
line,
your offense.
And exactly right. Your primary play caller is your head coach.
Right. It's bad. And you talk about complimentary football. Last week, you turned the ball over 3 times. you had 2 red zone touchdowns, right? Opportunities. Dak throws interceptions. You had another one today. Another red zone interception today.
Yeah.
So Dak's performance was poor. The offensive line was bad. Yeah, the running room, even though that's a media-driven conspiracy that the running back room's bad, I think that's proving to be pretty damn accurate. Your running backs aren't good. CD and Dak don't seem to always be on the same page. The whole thing was a mess, but the design, I mean, you got 2 guys that are running into each other on the same route.
Yeah.
It looks like you're playing in mud anytime you get into the red zone.
You saw what a good offense looked like today.
You sure did.
Yeah.
You sure did.
Yeah. Well coordinated.
Yeah.
Personnel the right way. Your offensive line, your quarterback being efficient. Even when he gets a little pressure, able to get rid of it, find somebody open.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You saw a real offense today. That was the problem. That was your problem right there. Is you were dealing with that offense, and you didn't have
and you needed it. You needed your offense to show up.
You needed
today.
your offense to show up and make this thing potentially a shootout.
Mm-hmm. Post-game show brought to you by Pepsi. Made for Cowboys watching, 47-9. The Cowboys lose at home to the Lions. Now they'll go into their bye week. They'll try and get healthy. They'll come out and have another road game. This one's against the San Francisco 49ers, who have kind of been the boogeyman to your Dallas Cowboys here in recent years. The turnovers again today, though, 5 total. You had 2 interceptions from Dak, 1 from Cooper Rush. You had a fumble from the rookie Ryan Flournoy, and then Kevontae Turpin confident up. The turnovers were a problem. The penalties down a little bit, if you want to say that's a positive. You talked about Hussey's crew. Don't call a lot of penalties.
Sure.
But it's tough to find a lot of positives right now with where this team is heading into the bye. We want to hear from you. You can vent here on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys, but let's pause 10 seconds for station ID across the Dallas Cowboys radio network.
Your turn it on, leave it on. Home of America's team is 105.3 The Fan.
Hello, baby.
KRLD-FM and HD1, Dallas-Fort Worth.
An Odyssey sports station.
All right, let's try and get to the phones, get a couple calls in here. We'll start with Randy in California. Randy, what's going on? You're on with Zach Wolchuk and Brian Broaddus.
Hey, thanks, guys, for taking my call. Hey, I'm not surprised that the team lost against the Lions. That's the difference. That's a playoff team right there. That's a Super Bowl contender team. I am surprised, even with our injured defense, I don't really think that we could have stopped them scoring. Like maybe probably stopped like 2 touchdowns, but like the inconsistency with the play calling is mind-boggling to me. Last week, you saw motions, like 12 other guys got in touch with the football, and it's just I don't know what was wrong with Mike McCarthy and his inconsistency of play calling. I think this team can only beat quarterbacks that are just inept. Their offenses are struggling, and that's all I got to say.
Yeah, I appreciate the call, Randy. I mean, it does. We had a similar complaint last year prior to the bye week that this offense lacked creativity. They were not explosive. They didn't have big plays. The route combinations looked stale and bland and like they were playing 1970s type of football. But it got fixed after the bye. Now you're heading into the bye. I don't know. Is there another come-to-Jesus type meeting? I personally just think this is the type of offense that Mike McCarthy wants to run. And he's done a lot of good things here in his tenure as the Cowboys, winning 12 games 3 years in a row. That's a lot of winning. But when your postseason performances are this bad, then you just get drubbed at home now for the 3rd time. And, yeah, the Ravens game was an ass-kicking, too. I know the final score didn't reflect that, but that was 3/4 of a beatdown until you put up, the usual fourth-quarter rally points to make things look a little bit better. But this offense is bad. And, I mean, the touchdown pass that they had today on the trick play to Sam Laporta was the exact same play that the 49ers ran on Sunday Night Football last year to George Kittle for a touchdown. You know what that is, Brian? You've talked about it all the time.
Stealing plays?
It's stealing plays.
Yeah.
This team doesn't steal plays. There's no creativity. There's no let's go watch some other offenses and see if we can pick something to try and help us out. It's been the same conversation for 6 weeks. The offense has been bad. I don't know that that's changing.
Lions made this game personal. They're trying to throw the ball and lateral it to their tackle. They're trying to do trick stuff, and they tried to embarrass you, and they embarrassed you today. They caught you with a defense that was way short-handed, but they took advantage of every time their defense did a hell of a job against your offense. There was opportunities to make plays on the secondary, and they didn't. They can't separate. Quarterback, they get down the red zone. Quarterback doesn't see a drop, the drop corner. They throw an interception down there. Their red zone offense is horrible. It just is. They have no rhythm to it. They have no creativity to it. And, creativity is this big word that we throw around. But it just appears to me that other teams, when they get down there, you see them run routes, combination routes, rub route, whatever you have to do. Dallas's best red zone play is a red zone screen. That seems to be, and you're like, okay, I see what's going on here. But, it just, when they get down in the red zone, it is just a struggle for them even now to get points out of this.
Like the play to win the game in Pittsburgh to Tolbert. That's more of what you want. It's a mesh combination. You've got Tolbert
routes
running
across and drag it,
through the traffic. Deshaun Elliott can't get over in time.
Yeah.
You got another safety that takes a bad angle, and what happens? Dak's able to hit Tolbert for a touchdown because you created natural separation.
Few and far between. We've seen them run routes with Cook, trailing him behind Ferguson and then breaking.
Yep.
It just it's like it's kind of like, okay, it's there, it gets called, and then we don't see anything else to kind of back up what you're doing there.
Oh man! All right, we're gonna hang out and party with you. More so venting. I shouldn't even use the word party because this was atrocious and disgusting.
How about this one for the day? This is from the Next Gen, folks. Jared Goff completed 6 of his 7 pass attempts for 178 yards, 2 touchdowns under pressure against the Cowboys. His most yards under pressure over the last 5 seasons. See, and there was that chasm between him unprotected and then protected. And here he is. He had one of his better days. That just kind of shows you where you're at.
It does.
Everybody else has kind of got this figured out with Goff. And, again, you probably didn't have enough guys to make that happen.
We'll hear more from you, 877-881-1053. We'll hear from Coach McCarthy, Dak Prescott, the voice of your Cowboys, Brad Sham, Bobby Belt, and more. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Every moment, every touchdown, every yard is a reason to celebrate. If anyone partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Brought to you by
AT&T, the official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's original craft vodka. WinStar World Casino and Resort, proud to be the casino of the Dallas Cowboys. Please game responsibly. Sleep Number. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. And by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys.
Here's 2nd and 3. The Lions driving already at the Cowboys 17. Straight I formation behind Goff. Handoff, Montgomery starts left. Huge hole up the middle. Sheds a tackle. Struggling at the 5. Near the goal line. Touchdown.
One of about a gajillion touchdowns today for the Detroit Lions. 47-9. Lions beat up on your Dallas Cowboys. Here, the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys rolls on live from the Miller Lite Club. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Brian Broaddus. And we're joined, of course, by our Cowboys insider Bobby Belts. Brought to you by Aristocrat. You just cheered for America's team on the field. Now see them on the reels. Cowboys themed casino games developed by Aristocrat, now at a casino near you. Aristocrat, a proud sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. If you have a gambling problem, please contact 1-800-GAMBLER for 21 and over.
David Montgomery had recorded 10 missed tackles.
Wow.
On just 12 carries.
I wonder how many of those were broken on Trayvon Diggs, who certainly does not love contact.
Yeah, that's the highest missed tackle rate of any rusher this season with a minimum of 10 carries.
Yeah,
it just got bad.
It is. And look, I thought the tackling was something that had improved, but it certainly was a problem today. And, I think, certainly I've seen a lot of, hey, are you guys going to call out Diggs? And yeah, absolutely. I think sure. I've always felt that way. Diggs is a good coverage corner. He's not a physical come up and set the edge guy, but now it's starting to become an issue where I think every single team is kind of keying on 7 and saying, hey, until you want to come up and play physical, we're going to keep running on you.
They kind of figured out that they could run away from him, too. Run away from him, like carry him.
Yes.
And there's separation on routes.
Yep. Yeah, Jamison Williams today. Big time touchdown. That was on Diggs as well. So I know he was frustrated on the sideline. It was a bad day at the office for everybody. Let's welcome in Bobby. Bobby, you just came, of course, from the locker room. Your initial thoughts on maybe anything that you heard there and just on the game?
I didn't actually go directly to the locker. I was standing
Jerry
out
Jones?
in front of it. Yeah,
Ooh,
with Jerry Jones.
Okay, I was going to ask you about that. How'd that work?
Was that venomous?
He's clearly not happy.
Has he looked in the mirror?
It was a mix. It appeared, of disappointment, just befuddlement, and then also there's a little bit of anger there.
What is he surprised about? What is he surprised about, you think?
I think...
Is he surprised his play caller struggles in the red zone? Is he struggling with his quarterback, his offensive line, his receivers? Where do you think he's struggling with this the most?
It sounded like it was an offensive concern and an issue, because he specifically talked about, look, we're down a bunch of players on defense. I recognize that.
Zimmer needs to do a better job on
Sure.
defense too.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to tell you this. They needed to find a way to be better on offense, their offense today.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The Lions coming in, not a lot of pressure, secondary giving up plays, and you go out there and play around with your food, as Chris Arnold likes to say, and just kind of pee down your leg a little bit on your offense.
5-0. That is that's what this game can be summarized for, basically, because you had 5 Cowboys turnovers to 0 Lions turnovers, and you had 5 Lions touchdowns to 0 Cowboys touchdowns.
Yeah.
That was pretty much the game today, and this was something where it's interesting. I thought when they got going, they came out with tempo. Like they came out and they were trying to get into a rhythm, play with a little bit of tempo. I thought the first drive, okay, they're moving the ball a little bit. This is looking optimistic. But it did not take much for what just felt like a lot of low-effort plays to sink in after that. That was the last question I asked Jerry when we were just standing there. I was like, did you have any issues with effort today with your football team? And he had said, look, I think when the other team over there is clearly having as much fun as they were doing what they were doing to us, it's really easy to throw a lot of adjectives around when you see the juxtaposition of how they look versus how you look.
Yeah.
You want to call it effort, you want to call it other things. basically it said
Probably all fair game.
Yeah, he just basically said, like, I mean, at that point of the game, it's going to look like a lot of really negative things.
Sure.
But he did say, he called it very concerning. He specified, he said, look, offensively, like, we got to get more. We have to get more. And he said there are changes to consider. When it was asked specifically about the head coach, he said he's not considering that's not part of the equation right now.
No.
But he didn't want to get into a lot of different specifics. But
what can he change? What can he? And sorry for jumping in on this.
No, you're good.
And I don't mean to put you in a bad spot, but what can he change? I mean, he's going to get some defensive players back after the bye.
Mm-hmm.
But physically, what can he do to his team? Can he change? Can he all of a sudden, like, are we going to see Dalvin Cook now? After he says, let's give Zeke's going to get, let's give Zeke, carries and watch that thing go sideways.
They tried change. Tyler Smith was playing left tackle today with a healthy Tyler Guyton.
The best five right there, supposedly, yeah.
Which still didn't seem to make a damn bit of difference.
We'll go back, we'll watch the film, but man, it felt like, Elaine McNeil was able to do a whole lot of whatever he wanted on the interior with TJ Bass today.
Yeah.
But look, I mean, this was, it felt like, I'm not saying they did, because I know it's a dirty word and you don't want to accuse somebody of it. I'm just saying, if I were to say, what does quitting look like, I would say it looks similar to that, is what I would expect it to look like.
Quit or just not very good?
Man, there was a couple Olays out there on defense today, and it looked like
if you saw Olays, I'm looking forward to watching the Olays tomorrow, and I take your word for it.
Yeah,
I take your word for it.
I think there were some Olays on defense, and I think there were some, do I want to run? Do I want to run a 12-yard or I'll run 10 and cut? And maybe I'm going to round my
tackle.
route.
It reminded me of Mike Jenkins.
That was the name that we were kicking around.
When he just says, like, hey, Brandon Jacobs, go ahead and score. I don't like it. That's kind of the effort that I saw, at least on the defensive side of the ball at some point. And, hey, I mean, I don't know if maybe another thing that you could change. Do you switch who is your primary play caller? Do you let Brian Schottenheimer try? I don't know if that's necessarily going to remedy anything. But if
that guy's going to get fired, he's going down on his own.
Which makes sense.
He ain't letting anybody else take him down. That's just my 2 cents.
No, when you ask specifically what can you change, I don't know what you can really change to salvage what right now is a really difficult roster, a position that they're in right now.
Yeah.
Where I don't know that you can rescue this right now, other than just to say you might be able to rescue it to the point of, can you get into the playoffs? Yeah. But right now you don't have enough to be a contender in the NFC.
No.
You just don't.
No.
And that needs to be – Jerry's going to have to look at himself in the mirror a little bit here too and say, did we do everything to have this, did we do enough to replace the losses that we had this offseason? We talked about it a lot before the year. Guy 1 through 22, the Cowboys, when they're healthy, it feels like they're still a top 10 roster. Like their starting lineup when they're healthy is still a really good starting lineup. The problem is when Washington came through and swiped 80 of your depth pieces or other people left. Seattle came through, took a couple guys to go with Add and Dirty. It felt like you lost a ton in guy 23 to 53, and you had, 8 picks or whatever, and you just said, we'll try to replace it with that. And then they got into training camp, and they very quickly went, okay, Linval Joseph, Jordan Phillips, we need to work out this guy. They added, I think there was a stretch there the first 16 days of August where they added 10 veteran players to the roster.
Yeah.
And I think they had a sobering reality of, like, they have serious depth issues. So when you have injuries like they've sustained this year, which it's a bad time for some of those injuries to come up with the depth issues that they have, it ends up looking like a roster that right now is not very good.
And when you're doing that, I mean, there's probably a reason those guys are available in August, right? You might not be getting the quality that you want, but I mean, hey, certainly you go into the bye, couldn't be coming at a better time right now, I suppose. You got to try and figure out a lot of things and maybe get healthy. That's a start.
Yeah, get healthy. Reflect on it a little bit. Eric Kendricks said after the New Orleans game where he was like, no, you don't flush this. You don't forget about it. He's like, we need to sit in it. He's like, you need to sit in it and feel it. And so, yeah, you got 2 weeks here. So you definitely, with no game coming up, you got plenty of time to sit in this one and reflect on it and think about it and figure out what you need to do differently, because what's waiting for you right out of the bye is that San Francisco 49ers team that has been just has haunted you, and you've got a prime time date, a Sunday night football date on the road in San Francisco. If you go out there and do this again on national television coming out of the bye, I don't know. There's
all bets are off then, I think.
Yeah. I think we're looking at in-season changes.
Now you're 3
to
and
some
4.
extent.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Anything else before we let you out of here, Bobby?
Just that I love y'all.
We love you too. There he is, our Cowboys insider, Bobby Belt. We've got the voice of your Dallas Cowboys, Brad Sham, standing by. We'll get to Brad. We'll get back to your calls, and we'll hear from the coach. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
Bell Nunley has been committed to serving their clients for over 4 decades. This Dallas-based full-service law firm offers an level commercial litigation, mergers and acquisitions, real estate, intellectual
18 miles of uninterrupted coastline. Go to visitportaranzas.com and get acquainted with the island life.
Snap to Prescott, third down, looking left. Fade, left side of the end zone, intercepted. In the back of the end zone by Brian Branch.
That was one of 3 total interceptions today, combined between Dak and Cooper Rush. 47-9. The Lions over the Cowboys. Cowboys falling to 3-3 on the season, and they've got the bye coming up. Zach Wolchuk alongside Brian Broaddus from the Miller Lite Club here at AT&T Stadium, the official postgame show of your Dallas Cowboys, brought to you by the National Medal of Honor Museum. Join the mission at mohmuseum.org, and we're joined now by the voice of your Dallas Cowboys, Brad Sham, brought to you by AT&T, the official 5G innovation partner of the Dallas Cowboys. And Dak Prescott talking to the media right now. We'll hear from Dak a little bit later on, but Brad, I know Brian and I were discussing, we knew the Cowboys were shorthanded on defense. You're playing against a really good offense in Detroit. You needed your offense to try and keep pace today. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. What were your thoughts on the offense?
Yeah, I mean, that was your own, to me, that was your path to victory. Yeah. You might get some heroic effort from some guys on D. And by the way, I thought Damone Clark, who had played his way out of the lineup, actually stepped up and played probably his best game today. But, yeah, I mean, you just kind of knew that the way the matchup was, Zach, on paper, Dallas, the defense that they put on the field today and the offense that the Lions had, it was not a good matchup. Mm-hmm. So what do you do then to try to ameliorate that? And the only thing that you can do that I'm aware of is score enough that they can't just play however they want to play. They're going to have to play to keep up with you. Yeah. And that when that didn't happen, then everybody just started playing real bad, and that'll be an ugly tape to look at.
Brad, when you kind of going into the game, maybe felt like this was Dallas's best 5.
Talk about the offensive line.
But today, pressure throughout. Zach Martin pressure, Steele pressure, Bass pressure. It just seemed like today, it was a struggle against a team that hadn't created a lot of pressure, other than really one special player they have.
Yeah, and I think Zach clearly did not have a good game. Now he did miss a day of practice with a bad back,
right?
And you could tell the one sack that he gave up. He was breaking down and going into his pass set, and then the tackle was on him before he could get there and knocked him backwards. So that's not Zach Martin, but it was today. I thought everybody's going to have up and down moments with Hutchinson. Hutchinson ran right past him, and the play where Hutchinson got hurt, Steele tried to one-arm punch him, and Hutchinson said, "Excuse me," and he ran right by him and unfortunately broke his leg. The rest of it, Mike McCarthy swore to me he just didn't want to do it for the record before the game, that the reason that he went with the offensive line that he finished with last week was that T.J. Bass was healthier than Tyler Guyton. Now, Guyton didn't play great last week, and he's probably been struggling a little. Mm-hmm. And, gee, what a shock, right? That's going to happen. And so Guyton will now have 2 weeks to heal up. And if they're true to their word, then they go back to Guyton at left tackle and Smith at left guard and give Guyton a chance to grow and learn and play. But, I mean, I think they did try the best 5 they thought they had, and it really wasn't good enough today. And Hutchinson being out now for Detroit, you hate that, and you hate it just as an NFL fan.
Yes.
Because he's a special player and you could see the respect that everybody had for him.
Absolutely.
The way everybody rushed out there. So that puts a damper on the win for them.
3-3, now you enter the bye. And I know we've talked about this before. Last year, there were similar struggles with the offense. They come out of the bye, it was a completely different team. Do we have optimism? Maybe they can find something with a week off?
So how about hope instead of optimism?
Okay, yeah.
I would say it's not the same team as last year, and they were 4-2. But the point you're making, Zach, is one that I made 2 or 3 times during the game. The good news is it only counts 1 loss. Feels like it could count 4, but it's 1. So they're 3-3. And I do remember saying, and I might have said it right here, after they lost to Baltimore.
Yes.
If you can find a way to get to 3-3 going into the bye, you're still in the mix. Well, guess what? They're 3-3. Now it's an ugly 3-3. But the point you're making that I think is the most important one is, although they were 4-2 last year, remember they'd had the horrible game against San Francisco, really struggled offensively to beat the Chargers, and then went in the bye. And then, as you said, Zach, they came out with what looked like a completely different offense. Well, boys, do it again.
Yeah.
Because this that you put out there with pretty much your players, now, their players are their players. They made a decision organizationally to go with these running backs.
Yes.
Now, you could still, the rumors, Miles Sanders with the Panthers might be available. So if you want to invest some capital and maybe get a guy who's a little better than what you've got, and certainly you can look at Dalvin Cook, but they made a decision to go with this group at running back. But the rest of it, you've kind of got your guys, and it's on the coaching staff for me in the next 2 weeks to figure out whatever they did last year, whatever it was, get in there and figure out a way to get creative and make offense, because that's what you're going to have to do. Yeah, then they'll have Parsons, and they'll have Bland, and they'll have probably Carson, and certainly a Kendrick back in San Francisco. That's an entirely different team than this one.
Yeah, I just kind of wonder, Brad, when you watch other games and when you get the opportunity to watch other games, and it just seems like this offense, it just struggles to have any, and I'm not going to say balance, because it really doesn't have balance because of the lack of the running game, but it just seems like it just
not creative.
And I hate the word. I mean, I don't hate the word creative. I just don't understand how you can watch the Lions just run crossing route after crossing route after crossing route, and the separation is there. And they're one of the best teams in the league when it comes to separation, and you're one of the worst teams in the league when it comes to separation. And I don't know how you watch and go, wow, hey, we've got this thing figured out, and your quarterback's throwing in. He's one of the best tight window throwers in the league, because every single pass is a tight window throw.
Doesn't have a choice, yeah.
And I don't know how you can watch the Lions and think, look at the damn crossing route. Whoa, look at that. They got the tight end up the sideline on us there. It's mind-boggling to me at times.
That's what happened last year, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's why I say it's on the coaching staff to figure out a way to generate some better, different opportunities.
You were looking for another word other than creativity, weren't you?
Yeah.
It's funny because creativity, we think the double reverse pass.
Yeah, no, that's. I'm
just thinking of
I love that, but that's gadgetry.
How do you get Lamb running away from defensive backs?
Yes.
Why do you carry him into a slant?
Yeah.
Or carry him into, why is it always? It just seems like Dak is a hope and a prayer type of a play.
You have the same offensive coaches that you had last year when they were struggling going into the bye. So now it's time for them to do whatever it was they did last year.
Any final thoughts before we let you out of here, Brad?
I'm glad there's no game next week.
Yep.
Everybody needs a week off.
Yep. Enjoy watching football.
All right, boys. Thanks.
Always good catching up with you. There he is, the voice of your Dallas Cowboys, Brad Sham, after a disappointing 47-9 Cowboys loss to the Giants. Let's go ahead and hear from your head coach, Mike McCarthy, who took the podium a little while ago after this loss.
How do you explain that performance that lost today?
How do I explain it? I think clearly, number one, we were beaten today. They're a very good team. I think the facts are they're further ahead of us right now at this time in week 6. A lot of moving parts, but I think just staying to the obvious facts. I mean, we're not taking care of the ball. We're not taking it away. I mean, that's number one on the list of basics as far as how we train, where we put our time. And so we got to start there. I didn't do a very good job today as far as, some of the answers that our guys needed. We needed to, score points coming into it was the mindset, part of taking the ball and getting out there starting fast. But, red zone and third down was a huge issue again today. Well, obviously, it was going to be an emphasis for us as a staff anyways on the bye week. So we got to be better there situationally. But, I think it's like any game. It starts up front. They won the battle at the line of scrimmage. Clearly won the turnover ratio battle. You're not going to beat anybody with those kind of numbers. So that's really, we got to get back to basics as far as how we play, where we train, where our emphasis is. Off the path. No, the other part of it is we've got a lot of moving parts as far as players in and out. I think it's going to serve us very well moving forward. I've been in this spot before with the young players playing early. So you can see the connection was definitely not as high as you'd like it to be, but we'll improve in that area through these guys playing. The benefits of playing so many young guys this early will come forward. But that team's playing very good right now. They're a very good team. They're hot coming in here, and so they're further ahead than we are right now. We're 3-3.
Knowing you need to score points, did Dak press? You think Dak Prescott was trying to do?
Oh, I think really the passing game. You can start with the protection. I think he was. He was on his back foot all day. From the get-go. And we had a couple things that were not clean as far as chip, check down, release, and so forth. Were mistakes. Young player, but. We need to be better. At the end of the day, we need to take care of the football.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. What was the thought process on starting Tyler Smith at left tackle today?
Tyler Guyton's he's not 100%. Obviously, I think if you saw there at the end, we went with Awesome over him. So that's just kind of where he is medically.
Defensively, did you think you saw your team was as physical as you needed to be?
Well, the plan was to come in and try to, get the run defense done with a 2-shell. And obviously that puts us, more stress on the front seven. They're obviously excellent running the football, and we're able to take advantage of it. So, we wanted to come in and hold a lid on it, and try to be selective with the calls. I think if we're scoring touchdowns early, maybe we go down a different road.
Mac, Engel, Footwear Star Telegram, you guys are 3-3. Do you feel like that record is an accurate reflection of how you've played through 6 games?
You are what your record is. So I think we've had some out of balance games that when you get in out of balance games and you're on the wrong side of it, you have the numbers that we have. Our turnover ratio is as low as I can ever remember it here. So, and that's not who I am as a head coach, and that's not where we invest our time. That's not where we invest it. You have to have ROI. I don't care what level of football you play. Football's not going to change, and that's why they call it football. And we're not taking care of the football, and we're definitely not taking it away. So we need to improve there. We've had 7 turnovers in 7 days, so maybe 8.
Head coach Mike McCarthy after a 47-9 loss to the Lions. The turnovers certainly are a problem. The turnovers from the quarterback in the red zone are inexcusable. Those things can't happen. Now, Brian Branch.
A couple different times to Lamb.
Yes.
Yeah.
Last week in Pittsburgh. Then, there was a lot was made. What did CD say to Dak on the sideline? He was asked about it this week. It was jump balls, like throw it up higher to me there. It seemed like Dak tried to do that on the interception today. Brian Branch peels off of Tolbert, who's wide open in the flat, and makes a great pick on it. But that's one where it's like, man, I'm sure Dak would review the film and say, I need to have that back. But just schematically, I don't know if it's stubbornness, and I think that goes all the way to the top with Jerry. I think we know there's stubbornness there. Hell, that's why you've got lights that are being the sun's coming through the stadium. Your players can't see because you don't want to put curtains up. You do it for every damn event here at AT&T Stadium. You won't do it for your football team, and it's a competitive disadvantage for your team. But they're too stubborn. They don't want to put the curtains up. Whatever, that's not going to change. I don't know if it's something similar with Mike and his offense. Because to several people's points, and I know a good buddy of ours and Kevin Turner, who watched this happen in Green Bay, it seems very similar to what we saw at the end of his tenure with the Packers.
Yeah, I think Mike's trying to say the right things, and he said he had a bad day, and he absolutely did. Today you needed to win the play calling battle. You needed to be better than Ben Johnson. And Ben Johnson was better than you. He was so much better than you. He was throwing hook and laterals to offensive linemen, that kind of stuff. That's how much better he was than you.
They ran, I think, 4 different plays trying to get a lineman
they
to
did.
touchdown.
They
were
tried.
having fun.
They were trying their best to embarrass you, and rightfully so. If you're not going to stop people. But this is on Mike McCarthy. This is on Dak Prescott. This is on Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, Will McClay. Everybody that goes into this, it works in this organization, you have to look at yourself and say, okay, what is the fundamental problems here? And I was talking about him. Listen, I'm not an X's and O's guy. I watch it. I try and study. I try and learn. But I can just tell you how many times I watch games and guys are being thrown open or schemed open or, give you opportunities downfield to make plays. And if you're not going to run the football effectively, you ran it a little bit last week, but, if you're not going to be consistent at it, you better find a way to block, and I'm talking about pass block, and he said they had problems with chips and assignments and things like that. Is that on the coaching staff for teaching? These things, do you have enough practice time? Are there too many injuries? What's the situation here? But to me, the play caller had to be great today. He wasn't. The quarterback had to be great today. He wasn't. The receiver had to be great today. He wasn't. The offensive line, Zach Martin, these guys had to be great. They weren't. Your defense was, and listen, I sound like I'm washing my hands and protecting Zim, and I'm not. But my gosh, he was playing with guys that, you're playing, 75 snaps with guys that normally play 15 to 18 snaps a game.
Yeah, and guys like KJ Henry, who you signed 2 weeks ago.
Right. But you also playing with Diggs, and he's got to make plays.
Yep.
And your safety. I saw Wilson come up, and to me it looked like Wilson played with a lot of physicality today. I'm sure the film will show that. But this was not good enough. Not good enough from your head coach today. And he needs to look at himself about the preparation of this football team. He needs to look, because like I told you, defensively, this group acted like they had never seen a crossing route in their life before.
No doubt. All right, we will continue this conversation. We'll get back to your calls, 877-881-1053. Appreciate your patience. Waiting on hold. We'll also hear from Jerry, Dax, CD, and Jalen Tolbert with our three-time Hall of Famer Chris Arnold. All that and more. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Hey, Cowboy fans. I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. But lately, I've been learning a new game, crypto. Sound confusing? Don't worry. Even us pros were rookies in crypto once. That's why I trust blockchain.com. They make crypto easy. No confusing jargon, just the tools to help you win.
Prescott keeps it, slides with a first down.
Invest like your icons, where everyone is a rookie in crypto with blockchain.com.
Perfect throw, my goodness. Wow, did he ever thread the needle.
Visit blockchain.com/Cowboys to get started.
Spicy food doesn't need to hurt or be scary. Just look at Whataburger's new Bacon Blaze Jalapeno Double. It's got an approachable, friendly kind of heat, not a terrifying kind of heat that melts your face off. Jalapeno ranch, pickled jalapenos, and cool, delicious jalapeno cream cheese all balance each other out for a delicious hot, but not too hot burger that keeps your face on your face, right where it belongs.
New Whataburger Bacon Blaze Jalapeno Double. It's just a little hot.
Available for a limited time.
You don't want to miss the next Dallas Cowboys touchdown just because you went to the local store to buy lottery tickets, do you? Now, you don't have to. Jackpot lets you buy your lottery tickets from your phone so you don't miss a beat. Download the Jackpot mobile app on your device today and enjoy a more convenient way to play. Watch your Dallas Cowboys win on the field while you play for a chance to win right from your pocket. Only available to eligible lottery participants age 18 and up. Please play responsibly.
Celebrate the best of the autumn season with Fall Fest, presented by Wrangler at the Star in Frisco. Join us on Saturday, October 19th for a full day of fall fun for the entire family. Enjoy live country music, relax in the beer garden, and compete for prizes in Western-inspired games. Plus, capture fall family photo ops and savor seasonal bites while enjoying Wrangler shopping. With free admission and parking, Fall Fest at the Star, presented by Wrangler, is an event you won't want to miss. Visit thestardistrict.com.
Hey, time out. Now, everybody knows being a Cowboys fan means staying on top of your game. But taking care of you isn't just good for you. It's good for your whole team. And the MyBSW Health app from Baylor Scott & White Health makes it easy to schedule checkups, screenings, and more. So you're ready for every tailgate. You said you manned the grill, remember? Schedule your next appointment through the MyBSW Health app from Baylor Scott & White Health. The power to live better.
A true Dallas Cowboys fan is there for the journey and the destination. This is the season to make your journey count by flying through McAllen International Airport, the South Texas airport of the Dallas Cowboys. Whether you're flying down for McAllen's award-winning fall and holiday festivals, or you're a South Texas fan flying up to cheer the Cowboys on, make your journey as satisfying as your destination at the South Texas airport of the Dallas Cowboys. McAllen International Airport. Above, beyond. At McAllen Airport.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
The Dallas Cowboys Pepsi postgame show continues. Pepsi, proud sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Brought to you by
Bill Nunnally, behind every great company. Pepsi, made for Cowboys watching. Buffalo Wild Wings. Ford, your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. And by DallasCowboys.com. Keep track of the boys with daily podcasts and up-to-the-minute blogging at DallasCowboys.com and on the official Dallas Cowboys app.
3rd and 8, snap to Goff. Stunt, they blitz him, he throws it deep down the right side, caught, Jameson Williams, over Diggs, in for the touchdown.
Again, it seems like details is what's being discussed there in the post-game locker room. Cornerback Jordan Lewis, quote, they were quicker, faster, and more detailed than us. I mean, this seems to be the theme after every one of these losses. It's details. It's attention to preparation leading up to the week. It's, how many times can you talk about that and then the same thing ends up happening? It's certainly a concerning theme 6 weeks into the year. 877-881-1053 from the Miller Lite Club, 47-9 Lions. Knock off your Cowboys.
They broke some tendencies tonight or this afternoon with the deep balls and the things like that. That was something that if you look at the vertical routes that they ran this season, there was a lot of it. We saw the underneath stuff, and I made points about the in routes, the crossing routes and stuff. But they're not a team that threw a bunch. Jameson Williams was kind of their down-the-field guy. Boy, they threw a lot more routes. That was kind of a tendency breaker for them. If Dallas came in thinking, well, these guys don't throw a lot of deep routes, well, that kind of changed tonight, and they were able to hit a couple of them.
We'll hear from the only owner and general manager in sports that talks after post games like today. Jerry Jones here in a moment, but I do want to get back to your calls, 877-881-1053, and we will begin with our buddy Jim in Round Rock. Jim, how's it going?
Well, Chuck Broadus, it's always good to say, and I tell you, if this football team gave the effort that you fellers do during the week and on the weekends, we'd be undefeated right now.
Thank you.
Man, I tell you, it's I really feel like we let this thing get away from us early. Mm-hmm. I feel like if, Dak threw the same interception basically that he threw against Pittsburgh, and, you get up on them early, it changes the tone and the tenor of the game. But, I feel we pay these guys a lot of money to do nothing but think about football. And when you see play after play, now I know we can put a lot on McCarthy, and we should, But they're not on the same page. They're paid to be on the same page, guys. This is unreal. They are paid to be on the same page. They rep these things. They talk. They're good friends. They do all this stuff. We got the backyard and all that business. It's just disappointing. It's embarrassing. That was one of the most. I've been watching these Cowboys not as long as Brad Sham, and maybe about as long as you brought us.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been so embarrassed to watch a game in my life. There was a give up. They weren't doing things. And you're right, Broadus. You got 7 guys out there. Some of them been on the practice squad.
Right.
And I tell you what I did see out of some of those guys. I saw some effort. There were a couple times when that defense gave our offense that ball back.
Sure.
And our offense couldn't do nothing with it. And that was the time to go. Now I'm just so, and I'm a big Dak fan. Big Dak fan.
Yeah.
But boy, I tell you what, I am so disappointed in Dak Prescott. And you can't turn over the ball like he turns over the ball. It's just unacceptable. And hey, listen, I tell you what's about to happen. McCarthy does that across the hall self-scouting business.
Yeah.
Mike Zimmer's about to rip Mike McCarthy's ass open because I want to tell you what, it ain't going to be pretty.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate you, brother. Big Jim calling from Round Rock, one of our favorites here on the postgame show. Yeah, I mean, he is right. Now, I don't know, is it Dak just saying, hey, I need more control of this offense, him and CD, being vocal during the bye last year? Was it Dan Quinn helping Mike McCarthy out and them doing some self-scouting? It'll be interesting. I'd love to be a fly on the wall for that conversation between Zim and Mike, but yeah, I think it's totally fair to criticize the way Dak played tonight. I know some fans that are Dak lovers. If you say anything critical,
well, the money is always going to bring him criticism.
Sure, but and that's you're 100% right. All these guys that get paid, even CD, we're seeing.
Don't think about the money.
Now.
Think about the player and how he's played.
And the player not good enough today.
Yeah, the player.
And neither was the receiver.
No, the play caller wasn't very good. The quarterback wasn't very good. The offensive line wasn't very good. I'm sure there's some things that we can, look at, tomorrow and kind of focus some things and say, okay, this looked like, and they missed this. But, it's just such a struggle for them to move the football with any consistency. I mean, you get down in some situations where you're like, man, they need a play, and they can't. It's like, that call, or they get set back, or they're, it's not doing anything to help the players they got. They're not helping Tolbert. They're not helping Lamb. They're not helping Dak with some of the stuff that they're doing. It's amazing to me watching, and I knew this about the Lions, watching them play.
You said it all week.
Yeah.
You did.
It's just like these routes. Watch how much separation that these routes create.
Yep. You got St. Brown running open. Tim Patrick running wide open out there.
You can't tell me that Tim Patrick is better than Tolbert, and they get him open on routes. To me, it's Jim's right. Across the hall, we'll see how. But defensively, Mike Zimmer needs to look at his defense too.
Oh yeah,
he needs to look at and Mike McCarthy was talking about, hey, I've been here before with the young guys. Well, Mike, you might be developing young guys for some other coach if you don't find a way to get your offense going the way it needs to be going.
Let's get back to the phones, brought to you by WinStar. As the casino of the Dallas Cowboys, WinStar knows what it means to be a star with over 10,000 of your favorite electronic games. The all-new two-story WinStar Spawn Cascades, their luxury pool complex. WinStar really is the place to feel like a star. Please game responsibly. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout, Brian Broaddus from the Miller Lite Field Club here at AT&T Stadium. Following a Cowboys loss to the Lions. We'll get back out to the phones with Billy in Louisville. Billy, you're on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
We've been better, Billy.
Good.
I hear you on that one. Hey, it's a real honor to be on with you guys, man. I want to say that first of all.
Thank you.
Second of all, man, I mean, let's just call it for what it is, man. We all knew about this when just before the season started. We knew what was going on. It seems like the only one that didn't know was the head of the Arkansas Mafia, as you call it, as I want to call it. But I can say this. I can honestly say this, man. Dallas Cowboy fans all over the world, if you want to show this dude truly what time it is, stop messing with this guy, man. If he truly wants to win, he needs to prove it. I'm sick of this stuff, dude. This is a joke. Everybody else knows. They said, well, Derrick Henry and Zeke is the same running back. Really? Oh, come on, man. I'm done, guys. I'll listen to what you have to say.
I hear you, Billy. I think you're echoing a lot of the feelings of the fan base. And I do think you are seeing quite a lot of season ticket holders that are giving up their seats to a lot of the road fans. There's a lot of Honolulu Blue. There's been a lot of Saints fans and black and gold fans that came in here, the Ravens. There's definitely – this is a destination stadium. There's no question about that. Like, I got to go to Pittsburgh last week, did a list on our flagship station, 105 through the Fan, the best destination stadiums across the league. AT&T Stadium is one. Like, this is definitely a trip that, road teams, especially ones that don't get to come here often, circle. But, I can understand the long-time, lifelong Cowboy fan. I mean, we just witnessed history.
Yeah.
No Cowboys team since 1960, the expansion year, has given up 44 more points twice at home. They've played 3 home games this year. They've done it 2 out of the 3. This is preposterous, what we've watched here. Yeah. And today, hey, shorthanded, I totally understand. They were phenomenal against not nearly as good of an offense with the Steelers. They still played with immense heart and effort last week. They deserve credit for that. Today, certainly it showed. The lack of depth showed. And the offense, I get the point. It is heartbreaking, and it makes you want to throw up when you're watching what Derrick Henry's doing. He says to Dan Patrick, I live in Dallas. If I wasn't going to the Ravens, I would have loved to come to the Cowboys, but we never even talked. They say they couldn't afford it. The cap stuff out there, people are smart now. There's a lot of people that can tell you the truth on how you could really make this stuff work. They could have if they wanted to.
You know what? I will say this, and it's going to piss a lot of people off. We talk about fan give-up. It's hard for this fan base to give up on their team. It's hard.
I know I would never will.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. There are people, and the caller is absolutely right. And there's some people that, but you know what? And people talk the tough game of well, I ain't going and I ain't paying and I ain't buying.
I'm not watching.
But they're watching, if you're not doing all that, then why are you commenting to me about how the game's going?
Right.
I just feel like, though, hey, listen, this fan base is the fan base for a reason. It's worldwide fan base, and they'll be mad. They were so happy last week when we were doing a postgame show. Super happy about their football team. Gritty, tough win, And they're happy, calling in, all week long. That's all we heard about. And then today we get hit Jerry where it hurts kind of a bit and don't be a fan anymore. I think there's very, very, very few fans that give up on this team.
Amen.
I really do.
And I'm with you because I'll never give up on
They will be mad at this team. They will be mad at this team, but they will not give up on this team.
But here's what I can try and do. As a voice of the fan base, being a lifelong born and bred Cowboy fan myself, is hold Jerry and this front office accountable. Happy birthday to Jerry. He's 82 today. Well, last time they won a Super Bowl, I think Chris Arnold told us he was 53.
Yeah.
I mean, he's.
Oh, no, I was a young guy.
The way that he's running this thing does not work. It's proven to not work. They've got to change some stuff up. And maybe it does start with don't be doing a post-game interview while your head coach is talking.
What is if you could change one thing right now? And I'm just asking. I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
Honestly,
and you could
I would
say
love to
you
see,
move on from the GM,
yes.
and that's not going to happen.
Right. So
okay.
then I guess there's nothing I can change.
Then there's nothing you can change.
And
that part of it's not going to change.
Right.
How they go about maybe hiring the next offensive coordinator,
yes.
or hiring the next coach,
yes.
or hiring the next defensive coordinator, or hiring the next offensive line coach.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the area that needs to be evaluated. And Mike McCarthy, he's won 12 games, 3 straight years. The playoffs, today, today was embarrassing, and that was just as much on Mike McCarthy, the play caller. And you talk that because I get what's happened to this defense. I get what happened to it, but you can't tell me that the quarterback, the play caller, the receiver, the offensive line, the coaches, the offensive coaches couldn't have done a better job today.
Sure.
Couldn't have done a better job today. And that's now on the general manager to look at okay, I'm looking at things around the league, and I'm not seeing what I'm liking with my team.
Yeah, why don't we do more of XYZ?
Yeah.
Agreed, 100%. 877-881-1053.
The hiring.
The hiring process, yeah. Maybe you do multiple interviews. Maybe you do.
Well, yeah. I mean,
you know,
just if that's the route they're going, if they're going to change, that's what has to be different. You have to say these are the trends that are prevalent in the National Football League today. The way that people are moving the football or playing defense.
And look, it's very touch and go and a slippery slope when you're talking about making changes like that, because these are human beings and they're alive.
They hate us right now.
And I, you know,
in their
what?
car, they hate us driving home.
And it stinks that we're having that conversation.
Sure.
But it's also
I had it
the
happen
nature
to
of the
me.
beast,
Yeah.
right? It's we don't have a choice.
Yeah.
We can't hide from the elephant in the room.
Nope.
I feel for you as a human being, but all right, 877-881-1053, number to call, number to text. We'll hear from Jerry. We'll hear from Dak. We'll get back to your calls and text. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
They say champions are remembered, but legends?
procedures to help patients see.
Check them out at dfweyes.com. Tell them Drew sent you. Hood, hood.
Prescott throws underneath here to the 40-yard line.
Fumble.
And the ball is fumbled by Ryan Flanoy. Is that his first catch? That's his first NFL catch? He made the catch. Branch reached in and peanut punched it out. And then Terrion Arnold recovered.
Ryan Flanoy, who we all do think has a bright future, but an unfortunate moment there. First career catch, fumbles the football, part of 5 turnovers today for your Dallas Cowboys in a 47-9 loss to the Lions. It is the official post-game show of your Cowboys. Zach Wolchuk hanging out with the Super Bowl winning scout Brian Broaddus here at the Miller Lite Field Club and AT&T Stadium. 877-881-1053, the number to call. The number to text here on the Cowboys Radio Network. We'll hear from Jerry Jones and Dak Prescott, but right now let's pause 10 seconds to allow stations to identify themselves across the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Your turn it on, leave it on. Home of America's team is 105.3 The Fan.
Hello, baby.
KRLD-FM and HD1, Dallas-Fort Worth.
An Odyssey sports station.
Well, after a loss like this, you knew the owner and general manager Jerry Jones was going to speak. Let's hear from the birthday boy himself.
It keeps happening at home, I guess 4 straight, but 3 this season. How disappointing is that it's happening at your place where you had a home field advantage for a while?
Very, very. We all know you should feel better at home. I think that is an advantage. You don't travel, sleep in your own bed. It should be an advantage at home, and that's one of the first things you look at. Okay, how come we're not playing better when we've got the advantage against the other team? We get to wake up in the morning and are in familiar territory. All that's stuff to think about. But generally speaking, I think my message is I know you don't need to hear me say this, but I'm well aware that we're in the proverbial right now.
Jerry,
okay.
What would it take you to evaluate making a head coaching change in season?
I haven't even considered that. I'm not considering that. You're clear. I'm not considering that.
But you've done it once before.
I wouldn't be a hypothetical in that matter. Do you think I'm an idiot? Do you? Okay, well, I'm not going to hypothetical with you about when I'd consider coaching change in light of the timing we're sitting here with. I'm not at all. Excuse me?
What do you think of the job Mike McCarthy has done this year?
Well, we're disappointed that we're 3-3. I don't blame that all on being the 3-loss side of it. I don't necessarily totally blame on McCarthy. The players will tell you they had something to do with it too, as the other part of the staff will tell you, and the owner sure will tell you he had something to do with it.
Jerry,
so it's not all on them.
Jerry, are you shocked at sort of the gap between where you are right now and a team that's at the top of the NFC like that?
Yeah, but I think the real question is can we close that gap in a matter of this season? The answer is yes. I surely do.
I know you often like to say you don't have time to have a bad time, but this coming on your birthday, does that impact your celebration? And do you kind of talk with Steven and the rest of the family? Where are we now? What do we need to do versus really celebrating?
Just happened this week. I was visiting with Roger Penske, and he was telling me, he said, it's a shame you can't win every race, but as you know, you don't win but a fraction of them to get to be involved. If you really can't take the heat, if you can't take the bad, you're in the wrong business here. And this isn't the world's smallest violin at all. I've had some of the most wonderful moments, fleeting as they may be relative to all the negative moments. But those serve you well. But I do some of the best stuff I do, I think, when I'm on my butt.
There is Cowboys owner and general manager Jerry Jones talking after a 47-9 loss to the Lions.
He's on his butt.
He is. He's he certainly got a little feisty there with Jeff Kolb of Fox, who was asking him, about the in-season coaching decision. I think it's a fair question with the way that they've lost at home now 3 times.
He has made a coaching change mid-season, but it was after that he felt like that his players quit on the coach.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's to that point yet. The minute that he feels like that Mike McCarthy has lost his team, then you will see the potential of a coaching change.
Brian, you've worked in a variety of different places and organizations. Mm-hmm. And I think from a media standpoint, like it is nice having the access that we have to Jerry and Steven and them being open and willing to speak. But from a football standpoint, is that fair criticism to say that maybe that could be a reason why this team has failed for nearly 3 decades, that type of operation?
Well, the thing about it that you're fortunate is, and you're right, I've been at organizations where the general manager went the whole entire season without ever talking to the media, except when we went to a Senior Bowl or to the Combine or something like that. And, but I don't see that as a detriment. I really, really don't. I think we're very fortunate that the general manager, the director of player personnel, executive vice president, Stephen Jones, the fact that they do give us access to them that way. I mean, if you we in this media group, we kind of have an understanding of what Jerry's thinking about right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, after 3-3, you have an idea. He's not thinking about making a coaching change. They need to do better. He gives you a little bit of an idea of what hasn't changed. And I mean, I don't look at it as a bad thing. I think they just need to look at it as, okay, for the next time, or how do we correct something fundamental with the coaching? Mm-hmm. Does Jerry need to have a conversation with Mike in a way of, hey, listen, I was watching the 49ers, and I was watching the Rams, I was watching I saw the Lions. Is there something that we're not doing with our guys that we can maybe, implement and, that they do that we can do?
Yeah.
And if Mike comes out and says, well, I'm comfortable doing this because of this and that, it better be a damn good reason, because the way things are working right now, your offense just is not getting it done like it had in the past. That we've seen this team move the ball in the past, but like this year it just hasn't. And I think you wonder about, as a general manager, you wonder, are we evolving? Are we evolving as an offense here? Are we evolving as a defense here? Those are the questions I think you need to ask. I think you need to ask your special teams coach. C.J. Goodwin, he's our special teams ace. Why does he have back-to-back penalties?
Yeah. Well, why are we wasting a roster spot there?
Well, not maybe wasting, but you need to ask questions.
Yeah.
Because that part of it's not changing. The only time this will change is when Jerry relinquishes it to Stephen Jones, and then Stephen becomes the general manager. That's the only time it'll change. But you need to ask questions of your staff.
Yeah.
And if the staff is not giving you satisfactory answers, then you need to think about making your changes.
Yeah, it's. Dak was even talking about. We'll hear his. I've seen some quotes. We'll hear what Dak had to say, probably coming up on the other side. But everyone needs to look in the mirror, and I think that all those questions and trying to find answers, like all that, needs to certainly. But what would be a good thing. Of
but you knew
self-reflection.
going into this game, offensive players and coaches knew going into this game that you were going to have to play at a high level. And you could talk about looking in the mirror, but, you just, Detroit's coming in, high-flying offense, going to put a lot of pressure on our defense. We're going to have to turn this into, we're going to have to maybe turn this thing into a shootout. You just couldn't get anything going really at all.
Well, and that's what's sad.
That is sad, especially, you didn't block their front particularly well, and you didn't separate. And the Lions are good with tight window throws, but there's some, you look at Carlton Davis out there, quarterbacks playing against Carlton Davis had a 109 quarterback rating against him. And then you had a rookie on the other side, and then you had a slot that, they've made a lot of changes over there at Detroit in that secondary, but you just didn't do anything to affect them in a way that, was that was satisfactory tonight.
No question. And like 2-on-4 stop, the offense didn't score, 47. Or, I mean, maybe allow 47. But to what we've been talking about, you knew your defense was going to have a long day at the office today.
He's mad that the offense didn't, or just stopped talking that they didn't.
I don't know. I think the text kind of came in funny, but you needed your offense to show up, and your offense laid an egg.
Yeah. You needed, I mean, when we started, when we do that, hey, give us your final score, 31-26. I kind of felt like Dallas would be able to move the ball today. I really did. I believe that playing against the Lions, that teams had kind of found a way to maybe attack them in some ways. You didn't create any opportunities for you today that were really, really good.
Today's game between the Detroit Lions and the Dallas Cowboys at AT&T Stadium is brought to you by your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. Let's try sliding one call here before we get to break, and we'll come back. We'll hear from Dak. We'll get back to the phones, 877-881-1053. Let's go to James in Dallas. James, what's going on, man?
Gentlemen, good afternoon. It's so good to be on the phone with y'all discussing the travesty that we saw today. Now, I'll say this. Now, none of the local forecasts were able to predict a Category 5 hurricane coming into Dallas on this afternoon, because that's what we saw. The devastation was total. All right. That is exactly what we saw. It was unbelievable. From top to bottom, beginning to end, it was a total devastating loss. Now, I understand why you're saying, Brian Broaddus, and good evening. I understand why you say that we have no rhythm on offense, why we look like a man on the dance floor with two left feet. It's because we don't have a darn running game. Now, last week, we got fooled a little bit, okay? Nobody on film got fooled, but we got fooled. We thought we had something, but today we got exposed. And on the other side of the field, all those players that suited up on the other side of the field, they robbed a man on his birthday. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. They just take the check. When you're talking about giving up 10 broken tackles on 12 carries, that's just one too. You got to do your darn job, baby. You got to do your darn job. They don't want to come to work today. They didn't believe in themselves. They didn't believe in each other. We saw a couple still fighting, and that's a good sign. They haven't given up on McCarthy. But when your kicker is the most offensive production you get in the game, y'all ain't going nowhere in the water. That's all I got. I love y'all, gentlemen. Y'all have a good day. Happy birthday, Jerry. And lastly, we pray for an Aiden Hutchins. He is a player that plays hard, fast, tough. He's a good young man. And the Cowboys can take a note out of his book. That's all I got.
Thank you very much, James. I appreciate the call. And, yeah, the Aiden Hutchinson news we did get, this is from Adam Schefter. He underwent surgery immediately at a Dallas area hospital for what the team is calling a broken tibia. I would assume that's probably a season ender there for Aiden Hutchinson. You hate to see that for any player, but especially one of the game's
Watch him
best
come back
young
for the
ends.
playoffs.
Ooh, I hope so. For the Lions' sake and for his sake.
Yeah.
That's certainly a huge loss for the NFL. No question. 877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. We'll get back to your phone calls. We'll also hear from Dak Prescott, our buddy Chris Arnold with CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Tolbert, and more. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Miller Lite is brewed with great taste and only great taste.
partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Brought to you by
AT&T, the official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Pepsi, made for Cowboys watching. Blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today. The islands of the Bahamas. Fly away. Jackpot.com. The Powerball jackpot continues to grow. Buy your Powerball tickets now on jackpot.com. And by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys.
So Prescott on first down, little pressure, throws it over the middle of the land, first down, cuts right then left, makes a man miss, makes another one miss, comes inside the 30, down to the 26.
That is our drive of the game, brought to you by Blockchain. Trust the team at blockchain.com to make buying, selling, and trading crypto easy. Play smarter, not harder, with blockchain.com. And that was the opening drive. 9 plays, 54 yards. That ended in a Brandon Aubrey 34-yard field goal. That deep pass, Dak Prescott finding C.D. Lamb for 27 yards. You also had a 15-yarder from Rico Dowdle that ended up being deflected by Jake Ferguson. The Rico was able to catch, take down the sideline. Things were looking pretty good for the Cowboys on that drive until it stalled on 1st and 10. You had a 2-yard run from C.D., incomplete pass, back-to-back, and then unfortunately not able to convert on 3rd and 8. So you kicked the field goal. Brandon Aubrey perfect again today. 47-9, Lions over the Cowboys. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Brian Broaddus from the Miller Lite Club here at AT&T Stadium. Dak Prescott talking to the media following this one. Let's hear from QB1.
Dak, how do you explain that performance? Can you talk about your play today?
Start off first 2 drives. Felt great. Go down, get a field goal. Second drive, feel good as well. Get down there. Anticipated a little too much. A little too early. Guy made a great play. Initially driving on the flat. He's got the flat in man. Threw it early with the 0 blitz. Was protected, however. Let it hang a little bit. Guy comes off of that. Makes a great catch. Can't turn the ball over in the red zone. And then from there, didn't feel like there was really another positive play after that for us to build off of, to get anything going, and very frustrating.
Do you need to be better with this team already challenged on defense?
For sure. Simple as that. I don't want to say I have to play perfect by any means, but I've got to play better than I did, and close to it, especially when you're playing a team like that. As talented as they are, they're hot right now. Good on defense, great on offense. For sure.
Dak, Todd Archer with ESPN. Does this type of loss make you wonder what this team can still be?
No, we've got to get better, simply. And obviously we're going into the bye week. We're 3-3, 6 games under us, a long season to go. I've been in worse situations, I guess you can say, in teams, and then got it going. Teams that got on a streak, I think about 2018, it's about us sticking together, and I think after a loss like this, no better time than to test the character of that.
What do you make of the bye? Does anything about this loss change how you guys approach the bye?
The schedule's the schedule. Get in there tomorrow, clean it up, look at it, be honest with one another. Everybody, myself, I'm sure Coach said the same. Look in the mirror, figure out what we can do, how we can be better for this team, put better units out there, and then collectively make sure that when we get on the road week after this bye, that we're a much better team than we put out there today, and try to build from that.
John Mashore with The Athletic. Jerry said he called it very humbling, very concerning, and he said this was a shocker. Are you on a similar wavelength to that, or do you think that?
Humbling for sure. That's the NFL, and humbling within the game. As I said, you go down first drive, feel good, feel like you know what I'm saying, should have got a touchdown, but you settle for the field goal. You come down again, and in the same situation, think you're going to score, and turn the ball over, and then as I said, from there can't get anything going. So humbling for sure. Concerning. I'm not a guy to hit the panic button. I get to have the ball in my hands. I get to lead this offense. I get to lead this team. Hard for me to say that. And then shocking, I can agree to that to some extent, just on the way that they came out and played harder than us in every phase. And obviously you never prepare for that or think that can happen the way that it did today here at home again. now dropping 3 at home, place that we've been great at. Yeah.
Nick Harris, Fort Worth Star-Telegram. There was a clear discrepancy as far as physicality goes between you guys and the Lions. How can you be a more physical football team as the season goes along?
Yeah, we've got to practice harder. Simple as that. You can't turn it on Sundays. I mean, I know I've said that before to the guys. We've just got to reiterate that every day at practice in our preparation. We've got to practice harder, prepare harder, come out here and play harder. And we can't. That's a choice. Coach McCarthy always says at time, physicality and the finish is a choice, and we've got to choose to do it better than the other team.
Dak Prescott after a 47-9 loss to the Lions. Brian, when that question from Nick, and I saw Nick asking the question because Dak does his post-game presser right next to us here through the glass windows, and I saw Dak kind of smirk and then answer that about the practice, and he said that before. Yeah. It was the Saints or Ravens loss, maybe both. I mean, it goes back to Jordan Lewis's comments in the locker room today again as well about attention to detail, that type of stuff. When it comes to practicing during the week, does that responsibility lie on the players, or is that a coaching thing?
Players, coaches, both. I feel sorry for Dak in a way because he has to stand up there and take the arrows at the podium. Other guys in the locker room can choose to pack their bags up and walk on and not have to deal with this and stuff, but Dak has to stand up there. I think we're to the point, too, where Dak doesn't know. I think he's – and I say this and doesn't know that he's trying to come up with something to explain something that doesn't, isn't – I mean, you know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. It's kind of like he's trying to explain something he doesn't have an answer for.
Right.
And
it's a tough position to be in.
The kind of the low-hanging fruit is we need to practice better. Kind
of the best answer that you can give.
It's like 6 weeks we've heard about, well, we need to after every one of these losses, it's, well, we need to do this, or we need to do this, or we need to practice better. We need to, and, unfortunately, we've watched like training camp practices, but we don't get to see the practices, at the Star. I just kind of assume that that the scout team's giving everybody a good look, and the routes are crisp and the ball's not on the ground, and when they're doing their drills, everybody's blocking, and it's I guarantee you the interception that Dak threw tonight, the one that Branch got, was a play that they've run in practice, and I guarantee you the guy didn't sink.
Yeah,
I guarantee. The guy went with the crosser. You know what I'm saying? It's like the scout team corner who was ever to that side gave the look on the card like, oh, go with the crosser
and
here.
CD's wide open.
And CD's wide open on the back. So you're practicing plays and you're going, well, and then you get in the game and it's not, it's like, wow, we practiced this one all week and this guy came up the field. He didn't go inside. He came up the field. So now you're like, it's just
damn.
It's a hard thing to deal with when you're doing this but I think Dak is to the point of we've just got to. It's almost like we've got to try harder. Mm-hmm. We got to do it. We got to do better. We got to do it harder. And that's I'm sure they're looking for answers here. Yeah. They really are. That's not a. To me, that's a low-hanging fruit answer. That's not the, hey, we are having some horse-esque practices right now.
Yeah.
And we're not coming out there prepared. We're not running routes the right way. We're not blitz picking up the right way. We're not running the football with any kind of success. That's behind the scenes, maybe that's what you're getting, but it seems like too much a common theme when they have these bad losses.
All right, let's get back to the phones, 877-881-1053. Let's go to Jerry in Dallas. Jerry on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys.
Good evening, guys. Hey, listen, with today being Jerry's, 82nd, 83rd birthday?
Second.
82nd. This situation is reminding me of, remember Al Davis's last days with the Raiders?
Yes.
And they tried to get him out of there, but he just has so much power that he wouldn't leave. And they basically almost wait on him to pass away before they got him out of there. This is what's going on here, man. And him passing it down to Steven, it's not going to be no better, man. I mean, this guy's already proven he can't figure out the salary cap, man. You guys, this situation is going to be here for a long time.
Yeah, I don't think things are going to change very much. If that's what you believe, and I can't change people's beliefs. I can't change your belief. But if you're the guys and gals in the fan base that believe that everything is going to be the same, then I'm sorry, I can't help you. Because I'm not going to change your mind on it. Because honestly, the structure is not going to change. You know, it's still going to be a Jones in the primary decision-making process of it. That's not going to change. So I don't know what to say, you know, to the fan base out there that believes that. I just know that if you feel you're frustrated right now, he's absolutely right. That part of it, that frustration will continue if you believe that they will never go out and get a true general manager. You know, I say a true general manager because it was Al Davis that told Jerry Jones that you don't have to have a general manager. You can run this yourself. Mm-hmm. So that's where we're at.
All right, 877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. We'll get back to your phones on the other side. Keep them coming. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
Spicy food doesn't need to hurt or be scary. Just look at Whataburger's new...
equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
They kick it away, and it'll be another touchback. Oh, Turpin's bringing it out 9 yards deep. From the 15 to the 20, to the 35 right sideline, 50, 40, 30, and out of bounds.
Look at that. They ran a fake reverse there to CJ Goodwin.
Heck of a return by Kevontae Turpin right before the half. That set up a Brandon Aubrey field goal. Thought maybe Turpin was going to have his second house call of the season, but he got knocked out of bounds there. Good angle by the kicker. That's our what a play of the game. Brought to you by Reliant, an NRG company. 70-yard return there for Kevontae Turpin. Not a whole lot of great plays to choose from in this game, unfortunately. 47-9 Lions over the Cowboys. Zach Wolchuk, Brian Broaddus, Super Bowl winner, hanging out here in the Miller Lite Field Club at AT&T Stadium. Let's get back to your phones because I know a lot of you have been waiting patiently and you want to vent after this one today, and rightly so. Certainly was a very frustrating outcome and third home loss for the Cowboys as they fall to 3-3, 0-3 at home, 3-0 on the road. They've got the bye week coming up, and they'll get back out there to San Francisco for a Sunday night football matchup. Let's head out to William in New York. William, what's going on?
Hi, good evening, gentlemen. I'm actually not frustrated or not mad because I expect them to lose, so I'm not angry. The one thing I want to say is they are fascinating when you think about it because only this franchise has acquired the amount of talent they have over the last 20 years and wasted so many careers. But I'm talking about going back through the Romo years to what we have now. Because when you think about it, they've arguably had the two best quarterbacks statistics they've ever had. They've arguably had the two greatest wide receivers with Terrell Owens and Des Bryant. And the offensive line, don't get me started, because you've had Flozell Adams to Smith to the center from, I forgot his name, Gerard to but they never win. So what would a Cowboy fan have to throw his hat on with the draft and everything coming up? Because guess what? Because if you go at the last crappy season we had, we came out with Micah Parsons. What do you have to show for that? Absolutely nothing. So this really is for Brian Brown. What would you hang your hat on as a Cowboy fan right now to look forward to the future? Since we draft great players, we draft Hall of Fame players, and we still go round and round in a circle. I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah, thank you for the call. I'm hanging my hat on, and this is where it has to be, and likely they're going to, if this continues on the way, if it's a 500 season and it doesn't end up in the playoffs, and the head coach's contract will run out, much like Jason Garrett's contract ran out, and then they'll move on from Mike McCarthy. My hope as a Cowboys fan is that somebody in that front office will take the opportunity, and this is what drives people nuts, that if they have to go and talk to coaches, that somebody in that office has a list of coaches that they feel like can. Because the first question, if I was a general manager and I needed a new head coach, how do I help my quarterback? Dak Prescott and I are tied together for the next 4 years. Well, Jerry, I really don't think that Dak Prescott's a very good quarterback. If some coach says that, he's probably not going to get my job, because I've got to find somebody that thinks that they can work with Dak, but also help Dak, can kind of bring this offense into where it needs to be, where we see the things, the crossing routes, the downfield play, the rub routes, the picks, the various things, things that we see these offenses do, much like the 49ers, the power running game that they have. My hope as a Cowboy fan would be that the light comes on, and it's going to get somebody that can absolutely help my quarterback and make a difference and get me over the top in these games where I don't feel like that I'm getting worked on my scheme.
Yeah.
That defenses are, the Lions had been struggling, really it's been, in the past, and all of a sudden they're getting pressure on you, they're covering you, but it seems like everybody you play covers you. Mm-hmm. So now my hope as a fan is that somebody over there makes a determination of like Jerry Jones walks in and says, give me the top offensive play callers in not only the NFL but in college football. Give me those guys.
Yeah.
I want to talk to every one of those guys. And maybe Jerry Jones can't do that because of 82 years old. Maybe he can't.
Well, then Steven can.
But Steven can.
Yeah.
Will McClay can. Todd Williams can. Adam Pacifica can.
Sure.
It's people in that organization that are their core front office guys and gals, Charlotte Jones, whoever. Somebody needs to sit down and figure out why.
Yeah.
Why does this guy better than what we've had? Because he can do this, this, and this. That's my hope as a Cowboy fan. It's not right now for Mike McCarthy. My hope is that it's somebody like that guy in Miami, and I know he doesn't have his quarterback, but that is a creative, you look at metrics, you look at how they
Mike
get
McDaniel,
offense.
sure.
Yeah.
Kevin O'Connell in
Yes.
Minnesota.
Yes.
Ben Johnson, who you just saw.
Yes. Guys like that.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Couldn't agree more.
That
that's
should be your hope.
You got
because
to take a risk and get one of those younger guys, much like Jerry did when he came into the league with Jimmy.
Yeah, to me personally, Bill Belichick at 70, I don't know. I don't think so. Do I need somebody that maybe could help the defense? Sure. It'd be nice. But I need somebody to walk through that door and make my quarterback not a top 8 to 10 quarterback, but make him a top 5 quarterback. That's what I need to have happen.
Agreed. Absolutely.
If there's a coaching change at the end of the year.
Yeah.
If there's a coaching change.
If that were to happen, if this thing doesn't get corrected.
It doesn't need to be, let's interview Marvin Lewis and have a Johnny Walker Blue with this guy and all of a sudden fall in love with a guy who's been watching tape.
Yeah, we're just talking to 2 or 3 people.
No,
Do
this
an
needs
extensive
to be in depth, intense, and figure it out the right way.
Back to the phones, 877-881-1053. Let's go to Scott in Jersey. What's going on, Scott? All right, let's go to Clint in Dallas.
Wow, Scott missed out on a post-game show.
I know, it's crazy. He might have been.
Thanks for taking my call.
Might have gotten,
thanks for being on my
Scott
call.
was waiting for a while there. Let's go to Clint in Dallas.
Hey, guys. Yeah, there's some of the stuff that's been said, stuff that I was thinking about. But, one of the things that, and again, I also agree with what one caller said earlier. I didn't expect them to win this game.
Nobody
but to
did.
lose the way they did.
Yeah.
Exactly. To lose the way you did.
Yeah,
is
exactly.
The issue. And there were points in this game to where, as a fan, and I consider myself a knowledgeable fan, I felt like even Detroit was kind of punking them.
Sure they were.
Yeah.
Sure they were.
The touchdown to Brown, and then he kind of bowls the ball over at the sideline at them. The little trick plays that Ben Johnson was doing was like, hey,
Sure.
I'm going to go deep into my bag because these guys just can't play with us.
Sure.
And even the 3rd and 13 where they kicked the field goal and they ran that sweep, on 3rd and 13 you run a sweep because you feel like,
Now,
I feel like
I'll say
Gibbs
this.
and Brown and all their skill players watched film and said, these guys can't tackle. They're not physical.
Yeah.
People were lining up to put line players in their fantasy team today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just have such an issue with this team. I don't feel that they have a lot of intelligent players. I don't feel that they have a lot of hardworking players. I don't feel that there's leadership. And Dak, that stuff with this, we just got to keep getting better.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm watching Rocky 3 when Rocky says, tomorrow, Apollo, tomorrow. And Apollo says, there is no tomorrow.
Right.
I love that reference.
I'll say this, though, real quick about the Lions on 3rd down running the ball. That's what they do. Because that head coach will go for it on 4th down. He will go for it. So
we saw it today.
Yeah, they had a 2nd and 9 and ran the ball for 8 yards.
Yeah, because they could go 3rd and 13. To your point, you get 7 or 8. Now we'll go for it on 4th down.
They don't care about. They'll run the ball because they know with this running backs that they could probably bust this thing and get 10, 12, 15 yards when they hand the ball off.
Yeah, and that offensive line. But to Clint's point, this game was personal for the Lions.
Sure it was.
It was clear. They talked and said all the right thing the week leading up to it. But the first play, they've got Dan Skipper report eligible.
Yeah.
right? They had this one circle. This one meant a lot to the Lions, and they absolutely, I mean, it's late in the fourth quarter. They're up a gajillion points. They're still trying to get that lineman a touchdown.
Sure they are. Yeah. And rightfully so. If you can do that, you can have fun. You can have fun, watching tape tomorrow and say, look what we did today. That's they get that for kicking your ass. That's what they get to do.
Yeah. They sure do. All right, let's go to Pastor Toles in Alabama. What's going on, sir?
Hey, how you doing? I'm doing pretty good there.
Good.
Okay. Listen, I'm kind of optimistic. I've been a Dallas Cowboy fan ever since 1972, so it's hard to break me. I think we're gonna win every game. That's just the way I am. Even though I know we're not, but that's just the way I go. But in reality, I'm not too hard on the defense because I understand we're missing some players. But now, in the beginning of the season, we had a lot of players who didn't play pretty good that first game.
Right.
But as we know on the offense, we do need to get. I know Brian brought us. You don't like that word creative, but we do need to get more creative. As you said, crossing routes and something like that.
You need to get more modern, Pastor. You need to get more modern is what you need to do. Yeah, that's what you need to do, sir.
Modern. And it's sort of like when we beat Pittsburgh on that last play, you understand that was a cross rug pick.
They ran some mesh. Yeah.
And so we need to run more of that. And it's like you got good receivers. You got CD and Tobert. And I hope they don't do Flournoy like they did Mr. Hunter Lipke last year. He made one fumble and then he don't get the ball no more. Don't do that because I think he can play. You just got to get him involved in the game. I'll tell you this. I was glad the game was over because of the fact that not only the score, it's because they kept playing one of our best weapons, Turpin. I'm saying, like, don't get the man hurt in a game like that. Just take him out. That was the perfect time, I think, to get Flournoy and them into some pass routes and maybe seeking their help during it, late on in the games.
Yeah, I appreciate the call there, Pastor. I mean, I'm with you. I mean, I'm sure that Lion fans are sick to their stomach. It's 34-6, and unfortunately, Aiden Hutchinson, breaks his tibia there.
Their offense is really, really, really good, and now they're going to have to figure it out on defense.
Yeah, no question. Yeah. Okay, one more call before we break, then we'll keep them going. We got Nick and Tyler. What's going on, Nick?
Hey, guys, man, good evening. Hey, Brian, I think the answer to your question earlier was unwittingly or wittingly enough answered by James from Dallas, from the altitude of Boulder, from what it sounded like. It sounded like his altitude was really high. But I think unwittingly he answered your question to Zach, because you're right about the structure and whatnot. For me to get a dig in at the Joneses, Steven, it's giving like you don't want to spend your inheritance, because you won't buy free agents. But I think the sneaky suspicion is that if my sneaky suspicion is correct, it was to go after that guy in Boulder and maybe two at the same time in the same year. Because for me as a Dallas Cowboy fan for life, as well as Zach, 33 years, when we seen this club win, man, the head coach was inspirational and a disciplinarian. Yeah. You had two of them that were good with the X's and O's, and one of them wasn't, but you had the right people around him. But all three of them were great game strategists. So that guy in Boulder, he's inspirational. He's a disciplinarian somewhat, or I hope he can be at the professional level, and I won't dare question his game strategy. Brian, I agree with you about getting modern because you're right, man. We do, but Garrett was a wonder kid as well. So I think if you can find somebody that more fits the qualities of the Dallas Cowboys head coach, what I just described for me as a lifelong fan, I think if you put the right pieces around him to help the quarterback, to help your playmakers, because what I initially wanted to call about before I heard James be so inspirational, what I wanted to say, the fans, you don't have to choose a side, man. Two things can be right at once. Dak he has to be better. You guys know he's robotic. You want to break the curse of the clapper? Let's get somebody that can break the curse of the clapper. But you can also acknowledge Dak is not the main personnel problem on offense. Micah, you can say he's inconsistent, but you can acknowledge that he's an incredible playmaker. Right. You can blame the Joneses for their front office mistakes, but you can also acknowledge that they built this club to have a cachet where you can target anybody in the world in football and have the backing to go do it because they know what the star means. You can choose to boycott the franchise financially, with merchandise and going to the games, but you can also still go out here and rep it Because those of us that are choosing to do those things, that know two things can be right at once, we still going to be here. And we're going to remind y'all that got off the bandwagon. We was here. Like, we criticized the Joneses, we criticized Dak, we criticized Michael, but we were still here because we know that football is more than just one person. It's 11 men, 53 men, and all the back room, 124 people on the staff.
Hell yeah, Nick. Great call, bro. Thank you so much. I'm with you, bro. I echo a lot of those sentiments, and you're so right. I mean, we'll see. Certainly there's a lot of football left to go. Don't want to put anybody on the chopping block necessarily, but if indeed there is a coaching search, I like a lot of the ideas that you were putting out there. We'll keep the calls going. 877-881-1053.
Sanders to be the coach?
It sounded like that, but honestly, James in Dallas sounded a little like Deion.
Yeah, he did.
Maybe it was Deion.
Maybe it was.
Deion pitching himself.
Yeah.
Out here pitching for
after
for
a tough
gig.
loss to the Wildcats.
Yeah, it was a tough one. Yeah. It was tough. All right, back to the phones, and we'll also hear more locker room audio. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent
Injury attorney sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Principal office, Dallas, Texas.
Shotgun with Montgomery on the quarterback's left. Goff changing the play, tight end motion left. Back to throw, pressured on a blitz, and Wilson got him. Donovan Wilson sacked him back at the 15. Second sack of the day for Dallas.
There was our defensive stand of the game as Donovan Wilson had a sack there to force what ended up being a field goal for the Lions. One of just a few stops, it seemed like, today, as the Lions really had their way with the Cowboys. 47-9, they improved to 4-1 on the season, 2-0 on the road as the Cowboys fall to 3-3, 0-3 at home after winning 16 in a row.
How about that?
Here at AT&T Stadium. They've now lost technically 4 games in a row, dating back to last year's wild card game against the Green Bay Packers. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Brian Broaddus here in the Miller Lite Field Club at AT&T Stadium. We've got CeeDee Lamb with our buddy Chris Arnold after the game.
There where it seemed like you and Dak maybe weren't on the same page. Is that something that, the bye week can help? How do you kind of fix those things?
The bye week most definitely will help. And things that we've missed on, again, are very small things. And I know I say that every week, or that we'll be fine, but I know we will. And, again, we just got to capitalize on the small mistakes.
You said things need to change, CeeDee. What needs to change?
You said things need to change. What? We got to score. We got to score touchdowns in the red zone. We got to capitalize. Continue moving the ball. I feel like there's some good also, but there's a lot more bad than there is good, and we know we got to fix that.
Did this loss change any of your goals or the way you perceive the team to be?
Not at all. Not at all. A lot of people may question it, but it's not for them. We're the ones that's out there running the routes, doing the blocking, the running. Granted, we didn't get out to the start we've always wanted, but we are 3-3, and that's just the fact.
You guys are not giving yourselves a chance at home at all. How do you break that down?
We gotta capitalize every given chance that we step out on the field, home or away. And obviously, in the beginning of this season, we played a lot better away than we have home. But our last 4 games at home have not been good.
When the defense is as compromised as it is, do you guys feel more pressure to go out there and score touchdowns and do what you guys need to?
I feel like we have pressure to go out there and score regardless. But it's a little more of an urgency when they give up a touchdown, obviously, because you kind of want to match the intensity. But going out there and going and putting up points, it's very important to us.
What was the message from today?
The season don't end in 6 weeks. I will say that. This bye week, we got to use it to be better. We got a lot across the halls, a lot of meetings, a lot of things we got to clean up. And when we come back, we're going to be ready to work.
There's CeeDee Lamb following a 47-9 loss to the Detroit Lions. Certainly a lot of things that they can fix and clean up. They came out of the bye week a different team a year ago. I don't know if they can replicate that this year. And I know some fans would say, well, does it even matter? Because they end up getting spanked in the playoffs anyway. But you would still like to see some improvement coming out of this bye week. Let's go and pause 10 seconds for station identification across the Dallas Cowboys radio network.
Your turn it on, leave it on. Home of America's team is 105.3 The Fan.
Hello, baby.
KRLD-FM and HD1, Dallas-Fort Worth.
An Odyssey sports station.
877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. We also have Tyler Smith, who I always love listening to. I think Tyler's very insightful. He's very honest. He certainly gave us the clip of the week last week, telling us about Jalen Tolbert's game-winning touchdown in Pittsburgh. Here was Tyler after the game.
Tyler, this is an awful loss. Is this harder to forget because it was a blowout, or is it harder to forget a close loss?
I mean, I don't think we should forget anything. I think this is part of our journey. I mean, it's so easy to, come in when you're rolling, like when you're winning all the time, when nothing is stopping you from having your way, and just be able to be happy. Do whatever you want to. Thank you. Do whatever you want to do. Have it your way. But what are you going to do when that adversity hits you? I think that's the true measure of a man is really when he sees that adversity. And I think we have a choice to make. That's all it really is, a choice. Who do you want to be? Like, when somebody asks more of you, are you going to go down on yourself and be like, nah, man, why they asking so much of me? Are you going to rise to the occasion and understand that, God has given us all we need to be successful? He has made a way for all of us. So I don't think we should forget anything. I think we should take this apple to the fire. Like Coach said, look in the mirror. Did you get your best ever today? Can you be better? And I think the answer for everybody should be yes. We can be better. We can get more effort.
You guys are a young offensive line. Were you surprised that you started this game, or were you saying this is a continuation of the Pittsburgh game? You had a little success in the second half.
I mean, I won't say I was surprised. I kind of knew the plan going in. I knew, I'd be kind of, having to bump out, handle that. And, that's just part of it. I mean, my brothers need me. We got guys down. We got guys banged up. And so we got to rise to the occasion. I mean, that's part of who I am. That's part of who I need to be as a leader on this offensive line. Somebody able to do it all. So. And
finally, your reaction to the Jaden Hutchinson injury, because I know that was a shocking development.
I mean, it was extremely tragic. Obviously, we are competitors, but at the end of the day, that's somebody's son, that's somebody's brother, somebody's boyfriend, all that stuff. And, he's an extremely, he's a great football player. Like, that's a huge loss, not only, for himself and for his family, for the Lions, but, for football. I mean, he's a great football player. I'm praying, for his speedy recovery, and that everything, goes back to the way it was, that, he's able to overcome this. But yeah, it's just heartbreaking. You hate to see that stuff. Like, even, if it's somebody who's not wearing your same color jersey. So yeah.
Thanks, Steve.
No problem.
There is Tyler Smith following the game, and certainly tragic news when it came to Aiden Hutchinson. But any thoughts on what Tyler had to say?
Yeah, I like what he was saying about this. McCarthy must have, in his postgame to the team, must have said something about look in the mirror and the effort and all that. And I hope Mike included himself as, hey, we all need to look in the mirror, because he does. As the head coach, it's his responsibility to have the team ready. It's his responsibility, the practice schedules, who plays, who doesn't play. He has a really big responsibility as the primary play caller. They needed him to be better today, and he wasn't. And so I hope when he questioned, did you need to look in the mirror and did you give your best today? I hope he turned the finger and pointed at himself as well, because that needs to be asked as well.
Mm-hmm. It absolutely does. I mean, I think everybody needs to be looking in the mirror after this one from the top down. 877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. Let's get back to the phones and try and get through as many as we can here as we wrap up at 9:30 here on the official postgame show of your Dallas Cowboys. Zach Wolchuk and Brian Brown. Let's go to Jose in Dallas. Jose, what's going on?
Hi, Zach and Brian. First of all, thanks for taking my call. Sure. I got a couple of things to say off my chest. First of all, no one's going to be surprised with my answer. I'm pretty sure everyone had the Lions winning as I did. But I'm not mad at the result at all. What I'm more mad is, the coach. What does Mike McCarthy do during the week? Does he prepare these guys? Does he have a game plan? Do they make adjustments?
Yeah.
Do they do anything? Does he have a message? Because what I'm more pissed off is the body language. Everybody just did not look prepared for the game. What did we just see? And the play calling too. Even from a fan at home, too predictable. I could even see it myself. I'm no coach. I'm not as smart as everybody else, but too predictable. And the third thing is, and then I'll let you guys go. Please, for everyone that's saying that we need a wide receiver, it's not gonna work, and it's not gonna help. What I want to say is, I've been a fan of Dak forever, but I've given up on the kid ever since Jimmy G came to town and ruined the party. And another thing I don't want to hear it from our fan base. Some of them might agree or disagree, but you can't convince me that Dak needs another wide receiver, because we've had that a lot. He's had the opportunity. CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, Dalton Schultz, Blake Jarwin, Tony Pollard, Zeke. Did I forget somebody? Noah Brown. I mean, you got everything. Everything's in the table. Sometimes you gotta look at the quarterback too.
Sure.
It's just I don't know.
No.
Yeah, I appreciate the call, Jose. I mean, absolutely. I think that's stuff that we've echoed here on the post-game show. you definitely need the quarterback to play better in some of these moments. And I think today was a day that you were looking for that. You needed.
They needed him to play really well today.
You knew your defense was going to have an uphill battle, and you needed your quarterback and the offense to step up and try and carry their load if you wanted to win. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. All right, back to the phones. We got who else? Let's go to Michael in Fairview. Michael, what's up?
Hey, guys. How you doing tonight?
We're all right, man. What's going on with you?
Hey, my point is that Mr. Prescott is overrated, and the reasons are that I believe he's the highest paid player in the history of the NFL. If I'm wrong, correct me, but I don't think I am.
No, I don't think you are.
So therefore, he needs to be Josh Allen times 3 or Patrick Mahomes times 2. If his defense is not stopping, then he needs to make plays. He's not making plays. He's not earning that huge, gigantic paycheck. He's just not getting the job done. He needs to be a superstar. We're paying him to be a superstar, and he's not doing that.
Yeah, I appreciate the call, Michael. I mean, I do think eventually you're going to get Mahomes a new deal. Allen will get a new deal, so those guys will get paid more than Dak. But, yeah, I mean, it certainly hasn't been good enough to this point. And, you know, the thing with a guy that they'll throw in the Mahomes comparisons, and some people would just roll your eyes and be like, why are we comparing Dak and Mahomes? But they play the same position. Patrick Mahomes also just has an outstanding defense. I mean, Patrick Mahomes hasn't been playing his best football through 6 games. He'll tell you that.
Good play caller.
But, yeah, he's got a good play caller that's helping him on offense. He's got an outstanding defense.
Defensive coordinator.
But he also does have, you know, that fourth quarter clutch gene where he can play very poorly when the game's hanging in the balance and his defense keeps him in it. He's going to go out there and raise his level of play and get a victory. We've seen Dak do that at times, but it's been inconsistent, especially against the elite competition.
Is it his fault that he gets paid $60 million?
Not at all.
Yeah. See, that's the argument that, I mean, if you want to criticize him as a player, I'm all for it. You know, but make sure that you give him the praise. And I'm sure last week and, you know, at this time we were talking about some praise. We really, really were. I mean, this guy played, you know, well. I mean, 15 play drives, made some plays. But to me, I don't think you could sit there and everybody focuses on the money, and it's not his. I mean, he plays. He plays the game. The Cowboys front office are the ones that determine that he's worth $60 million.
Right.
You know, he gets paid for what the organization deemed to be what his salary was going to be. I don't know how you could put that on. Well, he's paid $60 million. Is that his fault he's paid $60 million? I mean, am I wrong about that?
No, it's not.
If you want to criticize him as a player, go for it. You know, if you want to praise him as a player, go for it. Keep the money out of it.
Yeah.
You know, that's not he got the Cowboys to a point where they were forced to pay him $60 million. That's not him. He played to a point where the Cowboys said, we can't lose this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not on Dak. It's on the front office. But if you want to be critical of him as a player, I'm all for it. I just choose to keep the money out of it. That's what I do.
We will hear our player of the game, and we'll put a bow on this one, look ahead to the bye week, and then the 49ers. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
Go behind the scenes at the home of the Dallas Cowboys with AT&T Stadium Tours presented by SeatGeek. See what makes AT&T Stadium a unique,
player of the game, again, a perfect 3 for 3. All 9 points off the golden foot of Brandon Butter Aubrey, as he is our player of the game, brought to you by Jack Black. Want to use what the pros use? Jack Black is the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit getjackblack.com today. MVP 6 weeks into the season, going into the bye. It's got to be Aubrey, right?
Kind of crazy.
It is. It is crazy.
But here we are. You know, I mean, you have to give him a lot of credit for his ability, you know, to be as consistent as he is, and you wish you had other players that were that way. I mean, the way he's playing at a very, very high level right now. Very good at his job.
He is. He's fantastic. Plano's own. Shout out to my alma mater and his. Go Plano Wildcats. Okay, let's get back to the phone, shall we? 877-881-1053. And I believe we got a couple more calls. We'll try and see how many we can get to. We do have a hard out in about 10 minutes here, so be succinct and concise. Matt in Texarkana, what's going on?
Hey, guys, what's up? What I've noticed about the Cowboys this year is when they get hit in the mouth, they fold. They don't have much fight in them, and I think it all goes back to 2 words. I think it goes back to whenever Jerry said "all in." I think whenever he said "all in" and then did nothing in the off season, but sign a practice squad Dalvin Cook, and then he waited so long to sign Dak the day before the season started. I think it's real hard for the team to be all in when they see their owner say he's all in and he doesn't show it.
Yeah, I mean, certainly you can go back and look at a lot of things salary cap wise that could have been helped if you do get those contracts done earlier with Dak and CD. Now, you know,
it's a two-way street, though,
it is,
guys.
like with the agencies and. Maybe, you know, Stephen was asked about that on our airwaves, the flagship 105 through the Fan, and he said, yeah, I mean, it did unfortunately have to take until the day of the game, an hour before we announced that, like, that's how long it took to get the deal done. So,
this guy's held you up twice.
Yeah, Todd France.
He's good at his job.
Absolutely, no question. All right, let's get to Bill in Dallas. What's up, Bill?
Hey, guys, one thing, it might be simplistic, but with lack of any kind of consistent running game, it's a threat. You know, I mean, I played cornerback at JV level, and if we knew there was going to be a pass, it was 3rd and long, they would just red dog the heck out of it and probably get the quarterback. There's no running game whatsoever. I know that the modern game is a passing game, et cetera. And the other thing is, that's one problem. And the other problem is Dak doesn't seem comfortable with his checkoffs. He doesn't have other weapons to use. He tries to get it in there to his lead guy all the time. He gets intercepted. He should have when they drafted Deuce, I thought, okay, good, we're going to get a slot back. Well, he's not really being used that much. They drafted a tight end. He's not being used that much. They keep going to the same guy, and then there's more pressure, and it just gets snowballs, and lack of a running game, lack of any kind of Dak having any kind of confidence in his checkoffs, and it's going to be what's going to happen. He's going to get intercepted a lot, and he's going to lose games, and if, you know, I don't care how much you look in the mirror, if you don't have the right offense, you're not going to win.
That'll be the responsibility of the next head coaches here, for sure. If the next head coach, if that happens as a primary play caller, me personally, I feel like they need an offensive-minded coach here, more so than a defensive coach.
Or if you hire a defensive coach, you better find out who his offensive coordinator is.
Yeah, that is the biggest question. If you hire a defensive coach here, you better figure out. Tell me who your staff is. Tell me who your offensive line coach is. Tell me who your coordinators are. You know, those are all things, because I'm not going to hire you if I don't think you have the right guys.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to do it.
Like D'Amico Ryans, fantastic job in Houston, but he brought in Bobby Slowett.
Who we knew
from San Francisco. Yep. Good offensive coordinator. So that's clearly very, very important as well. All right, Leroy in Delaware. What's going on, Leroy? You're on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey, my guys. I mean, this is crazy. I'm actually talking to my guys, Brian Broadus and you, my brother. It's an honor and a privilege. We get our information directly from you on the East Coast, and it's just awesome. So sorry for the love fest, but it's real. this thing for me is really about the intensity and the physicality of the football team. And I got to say, there were some guys in camp that were talking about replacing. And I got to say these guys' names, and I got to say thank you. Donovan Wilson and Jordan Lewis. Guys were talking about replacing them with Wanye Thomas and the young kid Carson.
That's fair.
If you get 11 of those guys on defense, you're going to be competitive. And that's all I see. I'm not a football guy. Quite frankly, I rely on Brian Broaddus for my eyes. But I'm not blowing smoke. I really appreciate you guys. But it's come down to me about intensity, and we keep getting out physical. And that's all I wanted to say, and I wanted to hear your response to that. And I want to thank those guys. Tank Lawrence, too, is in that. Those three guys, even when this team was bad under Nolan, Donovan Wilson laid his body on the line. Jordan Lewis laid their bodies on the line. And I just appreciate those guys. Yeah. And if you had more of them, I think you'd have the formula. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you, man. Keep doing what you do.
Yeah, I appreciate you. I mean, Jordan Lewis, absolutely. There's been many times afterwards we've been talking about, like, he might have been your best defense player today.
Yeah, I you know what? I feel bad because the gentleman he's super nice, what he just said, but we talked about, I admit it, I was a guy that talked about Wanye Thomas. I talked about, Carson and what he could potentially do. Could he be good enough that you could play him on the outside, that you could kick Bland inside and play some of the nickel stuff? But, he's absolutely right. I don't think Donovan Wilson always takes the best angle.
Yeah.
But today, I guarantee you, when I watch this film tomorrow at 5:30 in the morning, he's going to be the one guy that's going to be trying to, knock people out in this game. I mean, I don't know if he covers particularly well. I think there's
He's got limitations.
There's some limitations. I think Jordan Lewis is a damn good football player, and I've tried to throw dirt on him a bunch.
I'm guilty as well. There's been times where I've been frustrated, but Jordan Lewis plays with everything he's got, man.
Yep.
You cannot question the heart, and the toughness, and the grit that he plays with.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, let's try to get one last call in. Just have a couple of minutes here. Let's go to Teal in California. What's going on, Teal? You're on with Zach Wolchuk and Brian Broaddus.
Hey, thanks, guys. Just kind of want to pull away from some of the flaky layers here of Dak pointing and McCarthy pointing to, I've been very fortunate in my life to be part of two really successful organizations. One in Texas, my high school, we won 5A baseball championship 3 years in a row. That same school, 5 out of 8 years. And then later in life, part of a tech startup out here in California, and was fortunate enough to, retire by the time I was 42. And the one thing both of those organizations, teams, whatever you want to call it, had in common was one, talent, and a culture. Two completely different operations. But, talent wasn't enough for us to build a company and sell it. We had to have a culture where you're willing to put in the time and the energy, and within that culture comes leadership and accountability. And the same thing happened in high school baseball, although our coach put the fear of God into us. That had something to do with it there. And I feel like at the Star, we're just short of the culture part. I feel like the culture's been gone for a long time. Plenty of talent, but I just want to say that I think that's where Dallas is falling short. You can point your fingers all you want, but there doesn't seem to be a culture there. You can look at the way Diggs and some guys kind of play football these days, that wouldn't be – there would be – I guess there would be a lot of accountability to be held with my company and also in high school.
Yeah.
But thanks again for what you do.
No, thank you for the call. I think that's certainly something that you've heard players leave and talk about. And again, I guess that starts at the top. And the culture thing, I think that's a fair criticism right now.
Yeah, I think everything is fair game when you're losing football games.
It is, yeah.
And the way that they're losing football games, and I think, hey, to me, kind of, this is going to sound terrible. Culture might have won you a game last week. The gritty, the tough, to find a way to kind of get it done. To go on a drive.
Honestly, that's why today was such a sour taste, because I felt like this team shorthanded really picked themselves up by their bootstraps. They lose Marshawn Nealon.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot you could have rolled over and quit last week.
That's what I'm saying.
And they didn't do that.
Yeah, they didn't. They didn't quit last week. After delay and the Steelers and all that. I mean, to me, that's a very, very tough place to play. If you told me that the workers at times aren't very good, I'd believe it.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, let's go ahead and put a bow on this one. We'll be back after the bye. No football next week. Enjoy a Cowboy-free Sunday, no stress. Then we're back at it. Sunday night football against the 49ers. Thank you for everybody who's been a part of this one. Shout out to Peyton Russell, Kevin Walker back there, Chris Strong, Justin Honore, who's ever been a part of this one. We appreciate you. We love you. I'm Zach Wolchuk. That's Brian Broaddus. Shout out to Ruben as well. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Hey, Cowboys fans, the Bahamas is calling. Start planning your ultimate